We are running through how you can measure your enterprise content site. I'm talking big site, a lot of pages, a lot of initiatives that are happening at once. My name is JJ Reynolds. I'm the founder here at Vision Labs, where we help companies manage their data pipelines, ranging in companies from small to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Let's talk about how this works. There are four main ways to think about this. You have off-platform metrics. This is like your socials, your impressions off-platform, not on your site. You don't own that actual thing. We then have pages, right? So off-platform is the bottom, then pages are like the next level. We then have initiatives, meaning an entire kind of campaign. It could be a bunch of pages, a bunch of content, a bunch of things. And then we have groups at the top level, right? So that'd be, for example, your calculators, right? As a bunch of type of content together, or maybe that's your types of blogs, right? You blog, or you need to break that out into categories. So groups of things that you can cluster together on your site. Those are the four levels of kind of optimizations and reporting. What we want to talk about today is how do we get feedback loops in place when you have all this content everywhere? Great question. What we're going to start by is first identifying what are we trying to do at the most simple level. I'm going to use a page as an example. So let's just take any landing page you have. And we're going to look at this through the lens of paid ads first, because this is often the way that is the easiest to understand this concept. So let's just say we have a page that is an opt-in form for a webinar. Straightforward, everyone gets that. That webinar form has maybe 5 fields. It says, hey, here's your website, your email. You guys get the idea. That page, we can say, what is the expectation using our 2-metric Tango. If you've watched the previous videos, you know what that 2-metric Tango is. It's where you have 2 metrics that can combine together to give you a direction. So you might have a conversion rate. So number of sessions that saw that page and the number of sessions who completed the form, right? That's, so you say you had 100 people see the page and you had 10 people complete the form, 10% conversion rate. And then you have a volume outcome, meaning we want to have 100 registrants. So in order to have 100 registrants at a 10% conversion rate, you can then scale accordingly. And if one of those gets out of whack, you know what to do, right? We have 1,000 registrants because we had 10 million people on the page. Well, now we can kind of introduce the question of saying, hey, do we need to optimize the page, optimize the offer, optimize the number of people seeing it? But most of the time, that 2-metric Tango of tying 2 things, a rate and a volume, together really do help you get to an action. So now that we have our example, one page, right, running paid ads to that page, we're saying, hey, we expect it to convert at a 10% rate. And our goal is to get 100 registrations this month. Now we can start ingesting that data, right? We can start saying, hey, we're going to put this into a report that we can see for this one page. Maybe you've got 10 running simultaneously, and that's when things start to get more dicey, right? People start from a paid ads perspective, it starts getting complicated because you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. Hey there, a quick interruption, and I wanted to show you the amazing data order of operations. If you go to visionlabs.com/YouTube, you can grab yourself the data order of operations guide, and there's even a spreadsheet there to talk you through how to think about every single step of the data order of operations. You can always contact us if you'd like us to run it through with you. And the data order of operations has really helped teams get succinct, get focus on brevity, and keep things moving. visionlabs.com/YouTube. On the organic side, people don't think about it as much, right? You have hundreds, if not thousands of pages with a desired outcome. The exact same thing that we're talking about. So what is the expectation for every one of those pages? Let's take it back to our groups, right? Our initiatives, our pages, and then our off-platform metrics. So if we take at the highest level, we have groups. Let's just say we're going to take all of our blog posts about beekeeping, because we have a bunch of beekeeping content. We're going to take all of those blog posts about beekeeping and group them together and say, hey, these beekeeping blog posts, we expect to have a 2% conversion rate to get people to click to the call to action, right? So now we have of all the beekeeping things, 2% to click to the call to action of our ultimate guide for enterprise beekeeping, which we all know and love. Now we have a rate. Then we can say a volume metric, both top line and bottom line. Okay, so the volume metric is going to be based off of saying, hey, we want to drive 10,000 sessions to our organic traffic. Hey, growth team on the organic side, this is how you're going to go do that. We are going to convert that at 2%, and we're going to then drive that 2% to click the call to action. Right now, we have have two optimization points, right? We have the content itself of saying, hey, people who want to click on that call to action. And then we have the actual volume of traffic that is going to that page from organic in this scenario. We then can look at one more thing and we can say, hey, what about the actual outcome of saying how many people actually downloaded that piece? Well, we can do that same optimization point again, where we have the number of people who saw that landing page and the number of people who actually completed the PDF download. Hopefully you're with me. Let's run through this really quickly. You get 10,000 people to your group, right, of content about beekeeping. That's your blogs that are maybe categorized as beekeeping guides. We then have the number of people who then see the actual call to action on the page of saying, hey, of the 10,000 people, let's just say 1,000 people saw the actual call to action. Of those 1,000 people, now 500 people clicked the call to action, right? So now we have that. So now we're at about 5% of people clicked the call to action of our 10,000 originally. Hopefully you're with me here. Then of those 500 people who saw the actual page, 50% converted. So 250 downloads. This is a quick interruption to tell you about our friend and sponsor, Analytics Canvas. If you are serious about pulling insights from BigQuery, GA4, and maintaining them without maintaining a team of analysts, Analytics Canvas might be the tool for you. You can use their drag and drop builder to build out really complex queries, maintain them, and then write them to any destination you choose. This could be writing directly to Looker Studio to visualize, Google Sheets, Excel, Tableau. They maintain this and automate whatever you build on their platform. So you do not have to go back and update packages or change things. They manage that for you. At Vision Labs, we actually use Analytics Canvas to maintain all of our GA4 pipelines for our enterprise clients. So why wait? Head over to analyticscanvas.com, start a free trial, and tell them Vision Labs sent you to get a little extra quota and build your better tomorrow. Now back to your video. We now have the intention of we're trying to do this thing. We have the outcome of this many downloads, and we have the rates at every single step. Okay, so now the rates are following us. We now can start optimizing and say, hey, do we need more traffic? Do we need more rate, like to increase our rates here? And are we meeting the outcome, right? The volume-based metric. And we can build reporting to kind of ingest these expectations. I'd say 95% of teams that we speak with just say we want to do more, as opposed to saying, what's the expectation? Do we need to be focusing on improving the site's content, the site's actual conversion rate, and what does that actually look like? Okay, now we've got this entire thing broken out. What we're going to layer in now is something we call a buy question. These buy questions, our team at Vision Labs loves to ask and says, hey, what do we break this down by? We have this funnel, right, of saying our beekeeping content cluster. We're just looking at one cluster, right, of this content about beekeeping on the blogs specifically. And we're going to break that down by article, right? So now we have every single article with the exact same metrics that we talked about. Number of people who saw the article, number of people who didn't saw the thing, who then converted, who then built the outcome. And we're going to say, what's the 80-20 here? I guarantee you there's an 80-20 for that cluster, and there's an 80-20 for the clusters in general. You're like, hey, dude, what's an 80-20? I'm not following along. Basically, 80% of the outcome is being driven from 20% of the actual content. That content, now we have broken down by individual pages. We asked our buy question of that, and we are now diving into individual pages if we need to. We can now take zooming one level out of our groups, and we have our entire group structure. We have beekeeping. We have all the content around hens and laying eggs. We have all the content around backyard farming. Okay, we are obviously a backyard gardening site as in this example. And we can say all of these different clusters of content, we now can have those broken down by our content clusters, but we could also have it broken down by page. When you can layer this on even more is you can break it down by source and medium, or how the content is actually being seen. This is where I think this is one of the best teams, where you can say, hey, we need to have our own landing pages for our paid ads, right? But in an ideal world, your paid ads could also be retargeting or bringing people back to your content if it is that good, because you know, you can always ask the question of what is driving this content. If you spend $1,000 to create an article, right? How do we view that article as far as a cost perspective, as opposed to just paying someone money to run ads for this content to be seen? We've got our idea, we've got our funnel, we've got the idea of a rate and our 2-word Tango. Now, what do? Right? That is the question that you have to ask yourself, is what functions can you pull? The way I like to frame this is here at Vision Labs, we give you like the controls where you have the Bobcat 2 controls. You can move the tracks and going where you're going. But at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're going to do, well, that's a problem. Like we have to upskill that marketing prowess internally. Because if I say, hey, we're converting them on this page of our enterprise guide to beekeeping at 0.05%. And you're like, wait. I thought your expectation was 5%. Well, cool. Now what do we do with that information? We have to then go and say, okay, maybe the design of this page really sucks. Maybe we did not even actually do anything. Like there's no, the call to action is only in the footer, right? We should probably put one inline. My best example of this, if you go to our blog, visionlabs.com/blog, and maybe /regex is one of my favorite articles to link to, you will see a call to action at the top of that page, right? That call to action is seen by anyone who scrolls past the above the fold. So that way we know, like, hey, people have at least been exposed to this call to action of building your perfect dashboard. That is exactly how you can start saying, okay, we need to have this content. We need to have our 2-metric Tango, right? The 2-metric Tango here. And we need to say, hey, what are the rates? What are the volume expectations? And how do we track that onto reporting that makes the most sense for our organization? Do we have teams that are departmentalized? Do we have initiatives that are grouped together in the sense of paid ads, organic growth, social, etc.? Because you can always say, hey, the same piece of content, if we're running paid ads to, we're running social to, we're also ranking organically for, well, now what do we do? And that's the question that we want to try and get you to answer.